Who's ready for an adventure?
Good morning. Here we are at the start of day 28. I got my wish. Last night it started to rain a little bit after sunset, so it was around dusk. It was still light out and I was driven into the shelter earlier than normal. Then it stopped raining and I had all sorts of mosquitoes come out after the rain and around dusk. So I was thinking, oh great, this is going to be quite the night. But then the wind shifted to the north and picked up, blew some of those away, and the temperature dropped, which is exactly what I was hoping. And the mosquitoes were still in there, reasonably persistent through the night. The wind kept them reasonable, but I'm hoping that it was just those ones that had followed me in and were stuck in there, rather than new ones coming in. So I think mosquitoes should be a lot more reasonable now. I don't feel the need to change sites at this point, and also just I need to get back in the survival mindset. My mind was pulled out of that with the guy's visit. So I think what I need to do most of all is just get back in the daily rhythm, fish, forage, take care of the basic necessities, and if I have extra energy, do a little bit of bushcraft, improve my site a little bit, rather than making a big effort to go change sites, paddle several kilometers, move several lakes up or down river, and hope that there's a good setup there. I've got a good setup here. I need to just keep building on that. Get my head back in the right spot is the biggest thing. Mentality is huge, and that's just going to start today. Roy and I are going to go for a walk. I'm going to do some fishing, have myself a breakfast or lunch of cattails and fish, and get back on the page that I was before they got here.
So the goal for today is to do that whole survival thing. Feed myself by catching a fish or 2 or 3 or 4, and should probably pull up some cattail shoots as well, or another green if I can find it. Just make it through the day basically, take it one step at a time, get back to the basics. That's all I need to do. Found a little mushroom here. Now I'm not gonna lie, my hopes aren't too high for identifying it, because this is pretty generic. There are a lot that look pretty comparable to this, but I'm going to bring it back, take a look. What I really need to do is get a spore print and use that to determine, or to narrow down the options anyways. I've had trouble doing that so far, but I'm going to give it another go and see if I can figure out what it is. So Roy and I have had our walk for the morning. Now I'm just going to do a little fishing. See if I can catch some bass or perch or pike or whatever might be biting today. going to troll up the north shore here for a little ways, or the east shore, troll north up the east shore, and then let this north wind push me back while I cast. I've caught bass along here before, so hopefully the fish are biting today and I can get some more. That's a weed, not a fish.
Fishing was not great this morning, but I managed to get my hands on a little pike, which is key because I need to get some food in me. I'm feeling pretty hungry right now, and I need to get the feeling of getting back in the rhythm of survival. So I'm gonna eat this little guy in one go. I'll probably put my minnow trap out, maybe take an afternoon rest, and then get back out there, do some more fishing, see if I can catch something for dinner. This is just what I need. Simple, delicious, filling the stomach. Back to the basics. It's been a while since I had hot, fresh fish. Almost a week, surprisingly, after 3 weeks of it every day pretty much. Maybe 2 weeks every day of it. If I can do this every day for a few more weeks, I'm laughing. Made myself a nice little daisy salad for lunch. And as I've said before, they're actually pretty good. A little sweet. So I've used the leaves, of course the flowers, little buds if you can find them. And the last few inches of the stem before the flower. After that it starts to get pretty tough and chewy. You can chew on it, but I don't think you get much nutrients out of it. Not bad.
The wind's a little stronger than I'd like right now in terms of getting out there in my canoe to do some fishing for dinner. So just trying my luck from shore right now. I haven't had a whole lot. I've only caught one fish from shore the time that I've been here. I haven't put in an extensive effort, but worth a try. Because I could get out there but I would just be fighting the waves, burning a lot of energy, and no guarantees that I'm catching fish. So I would rather take a few casts from shore, or even just give up on the whole fishing thing and have mussels for dinner than risk burning all that energy for nothing. Right now I'm just using a spoon, a little bit of mussel for bait. No bites so far. So I'm not feeling very energetic right now, but all the same, I'm gonna head out in the canoe because I have a snag. So I'll probably multitask this. Take it around the south end of the island where the wind isn't as strong, head to shore, take Roy for a walk, and that'll be our evening walk. Maybe do some fishing while I'm out there if I can find a nice calm area. Mission accomplished. The snag has been liberated. Now I'm just making my way over to this cattail patch. Get myself some greens for dinner. Might as well stock up too. Get some for breakfast tomorrow. Lunch. All the good stuff. Because you never know when the weather will turn foul and I will be confined to my island to live on what I've already gathered. It's an unusual sight. I found a reasonably calm area. This little bay here where the hunt camp is situated. I've fished here before. I've only caught a few perch. Nothing to write home about. I talked to the couple guys who own the hunt camp and they said they catch pike in here, so worth a try. False alarm, that's a weed. Wishful hook set. Wishful thinking hook set. That one's not though, that's a pike. And a decent sized one at that, I think. Yeah, it's not a bad fish. Why don't you just jump right in the boat? Make things easy for me. That might get off though. That's not a good hook, or not a good hook. I also just saw my first snowshoe hare of the trip. And there you have it. That turns my day around a little bit. Alright, thank you Jeff and Steve for convincing me to try this place again. That's not a super long pike, but it's juicy. I'll take it. Yeah, as I was saying, I just saw my first rabbit, or I believe it was actually a snowshoe hare of the trip, just having a little nibble on some browse down by the water. Didn't expect to see one there. Anyways, I'm going to take care of this bad boy, and that requires 2 hands. Got my pop bottle minnow trap here. is the little bay where I come in every day to walk Roy. It's a little more sheltered here, and my island was getting hammered pretty hard with the north wind, so I figured I want something a little sheltered. Alright, so rocks are evenly distributed. Submerge like this. So it fills. There we go. So I lost one little piece of bread, but not too bad. I'm going to push it over here, because I've been seeing minnows over there. Alright, and that's where it's going to stay. Here, just tie the rope around the stick, and I can already see some minnows checking it out. Good stuff. I'm hopeful about this. So I'm going to leave that overnight, or you know what, I might even check it once I finish my walk, because Roy and I are going to go for a half-hour walk or so right now. I'll take a look when we come back. Maybe I have some minnows that I can use for bait. If not, it stays in overnight, and I'll come back tomorrow. Taking a little bit of a different route today. Exploring a bit of an overgrown trail. A few sets of moose tracks already. Aside from a whole bunch of mosquitoes, I also found this mushroom here growing out of a log, so I don't know whether that's a bracket fungus or a bolete, but I'll hang on to it. I've made a stupid error taking this new route, which I had been told is a loop, but I don't know the distance, and I don't have my GPS on me. It's less maintained, so I'm burning more energy. It's the evening. An early evening walk to be sure, but it's the evening nonetheless. I think I'm going in the right direction, but there's always the possibility that I'm going to need to turn around and backtrack.
I'm making an effort to stay calm at this point, but to be very clear, I'm lost.
There are enough side trails that I might turn around soon. So the last thing I want is to end up lost in the dark. Like I said, I feel like I'm going in the right direction though. West and a little bit downhill towards the lake. Well, see. Just got to a T-junction back there, and I've made the decision to turn around. Again, stupid making this walk in the evening without my GPS. So now I get to backtrack. As long as I get back to the starting point, it will have been a learning experience though. I didn't expect this trail to be so long or convoluted though, but now I know.
After a wrong turn or two and some careful consideration, I find an encouraging sign.
Now I've found some fresh mud, found my tracks, also found the walking stick, which makes a pretty distinct track. And I know that I'm back on the right track again. Just trying to make my way out here. I was originally thinking that pike was going to be saved for tomorrow, but if I don't catch more fish when I get back, I'm going to want to get some energy in me, and that pike's probably going to get cooked up tonight. But that is a problem for future Brian. Present Brian has more pressing issues. Fortunately, still plenty of daylight left. And I know I'm heading north. You can tell where the sun is. If I really have to, head west, and west, and west, and west, and I'll come to the lake. Haven't come that far from it, so shouldn't be too much of a challenge. Gonna make a nice little shelter right there. Maybe a bear's den or something like that. Now this cliff here, this is a familiar landmark. I know where I am now, but if I wasn't sure, then this would certainly sort things out for me. So just keeping an eye open for landmarks, familiar things, familiar territory when you're working your way back. So I'm almost back now. I successfully made the return trip to my canoe without too much trouble. Now I've just harvested a few more cattails. I'm going to take some casts. I'm doing so right here. This is not ideally where I would be, but it's sheltered from the wind, which is a crucial factor right now because it's pretty windy out there. I'm just tucked in behind an island. On the note of that hike, obviously I've gone over why it wasn't a good idea, but if you do find yourself in a situation where you're lost or you think you might be lost, the best thing to do is basically just avoid panicking. There were a few times there where I was starting to feel a little nervous or a little uncertain, but there was never a point where I panicked or I felt scared or anything like that. Aside from the fact that I had an idea of where I was and I had plenty of daylight. I also know that panic is your worst enemy in a time like that. The worst thing you can do is panic and start running around trying to find your way back, leaving the trail or going down trails that you're not sure of. The best thing you can do is just stop, take a minute to think about it, collect your thoughts, get some bearings if you can, take note of where the sun is or look for any obvious sort of waypoints. Like I had the burnt out tree trunk, I had those cliffs, so any sort of obvious waypoint or obstacle, whatever that you can think of, and just be calm, cool, collected, take emotion right out of the mix and just think, and you should be alright. Worst case scenario, if the sun was going down, instead of continuing to push on and trying to find my way out, I would have just found a spot as close to the trail as possible or on the trail set up shop for the night, and then started looking again in the morning. Unfortunately, I didn't have to do that. I was able to find my way back. Anytime I was uncertain, I took my time and I looked for my tracks, which I was able to find. Fortunately, I had that walking stick, and I have Roy as well. So I have my boots, my walking stick, and my dog. So a few sets of tracks to look for. But yeah, basically just think things through, take emotion right out of the mix, do not panic, take your time, and go slow about it if necessary. So we've still got a north wind, but it's died down enough that I'm willing to spend the energy to come up here, fish the weedy flat area that I like to fish so much. So I've just paddled to the north end of it. I'm going to let the wind blow me in towards my camp, and then I'll call it a night. I have the one nice pike, which I've decided that I'm going to save for tomorrow. It should feed me for the whole day. So I'm hoping to catch one more decent fish, which would be tonight's dinner. If not, then it's going to be freshwater mussels for the first time in a while. But I'm not too upset about that. I've got some cattails, a few of which came with their rhizomes, the fresh rhizomes, which are really nice. Very pleasant, cooked over a fire. And I made it one more day. How mad can I be? It's another successful day. I'm fed, I'm healthy. I'm out here. It's been a while since I dug into these for reasons other than bait. Dig the ones that I know have been underwater the whole time. They're still alive and healthy. Alright, that should be good. So for dinner tonight, I'm cooking up some freshwater mussels, as well as the rhizomes that I just picked. Some of them are the older rhizomes, others are these fresh new white ones. Getting a little boil going. The fresh new white ones that I find are really, really good. And you can eat the whole thing. They're definitely one of my new favorite foods out here. I'm always happy to have a few of them. That's really good. At a certain point, the outside does get tough enough that you can't eat it. That one is at that point. So then you just do your standard, split it open, eat the inside. Once this is done, I'm also going to get some water boiling, make myself some tea. The wind has died down a bit, but I can tell that it's going to be quite a cool night. It's already chilly, and the sun has just disappeared. It's a clear night, so the heat won't be hanging around. I can definitely feel it will be a cold night, and hopefully that will mean no mosquitoes. So I just need to keep this fire going, get my mussels ready. They're probably ready now, but I don't really trust them, so I like to overboil them a little bit. Eat to live. I don't want parasites. Just a quick note on this sweet fern tea that I've been drinking recently. It's definitely stronger than most of the other teas that I've made. I've also left it to dry for a little bit, but the leaves that I'm using here are mostly dry. I steeped for 10 minutes, and now I've removed the leaves so that it doesn't oversteep, because it is, like I said, stronger than most of the other teas that I've been making, and if you leave it too long, it gets an unpleasant taste to it. So 10 minutes with the dry leaves, and then take them out, and you should have a nice tea. The perfect addition to a wonderful evening. Coming down to enjoy the sunset? Hi, Roy. Hey, buddy. Here's a good boy.